Winnie the Pooh, where are you? I feel like I'm holding the honey pot right now. This one right here from the House of Montale is dripping with honey. Fragrance review coming up next. YouTube fragrance family, welcome to another Robes 08 fragrance review. Today I'm putting my nose on the House of Montale and their honey-based scent called Honey Oud. Now, prior to the review, I'd like to thank my partner in crime, FragranceX.com, for this fragrance. You can utilize my coupon code, which is my channel name, Robes08, for 15% off on any fragrance on FragranceX, including Honey Oud, which is currently in stock. You can purchase as little or as much as you'd like on the website. Now let's delve under the hood for some stats on this one. Let's take a look at release date was 2015. Concentration is eau de parfum. The nose behind this one is fictional character. Yeah, I said it. Pierre Montale. Now the olfactory group for Honey Oud would have to be Oriental Gourmand. It will tippy-toe in both genres. Some call it a vanilla-based scent. It does have quite a bit of vanilla too. So let's take a look at the note breakdown. Let's take a look up top. We have the two main players in this particular fragrance to my nose are the cinnamon and the honey. Now in the mid, we have patchouli and leather. And in the backbone, we have oud, amber, and vanilla. Now the keynotes to this nose right here would have to be the honey and the cinnamon, also the amber, and you are getting quite a bit of vanilla. So actually the one note that is in the name, oud, is fairly tame in Honey Oud, and the leather and patchouli are very, very minor in this fragrance. They do give it some depth and some darkness to the scent, but that's pretty much it. So let's delve into Honey Oud. It is my scent of the day today, but I'm going to remind myself of this introduction. I am going to spray the back of my hand here and remind me of the introduction, one for all of you back home. So, simply gorgeous. Honey Oud immediately starts off with vanilla, amber, very much a lot of cinnamon hits my nose, and honey. The honey very syrupy, dripping almost off the nozzle of this stuff. It is very thick. It brings me to these two fragrances. I'm just going to put Honey Oud down here. Wajan and Narguilé. It really brings me to these two because of the sweetness that is, of course, in both of these fragrances, and the heavy dose of cinnamon. So it kind of reminds me of these two fragrances just a tad. Now, I'm a heavy wearer of Narguilé from the House of Hermes. This is from their Hermes Essence line. Absolutely love this one. In composition, the Hermes kicks this one's butt. Now, I don't want to compare Honey Oud to those two fragrances because they are different beasts, but the introduction of all three of those fragrances is pretty similar. People that know me and my love for Narguilé, I wear that fragrance from time to time, and people think, oh, okay, you're wearing that apple pie one. I see you, you're wearing that one. And I was actually wearing this. So they were thinking that I was wearing Narguilé at the time while I was wearing this one. And I don't blame them of thinking that, because it does take a whole page out of Narguilé. Not a whole chapter, but a page. It shows... if I'm thinking gourmand, I'm thinking of a dessert, and with heavy cinnamon and a lot of sweetness, vanilla, you're going to feel that dessert. And some people are going to say this smells like apple pie, just like Narguilé, and they're not really far off. It really feels like that, and there's obviously the cinnamon in this fragrance is your main player. Now, Honey Oud tiptoes into the gourmand territory, and it's a nice change from the old school Montale DNA. You know, Montale is very much known for their three-headed monster and their note breakdowns and all their ouds, oud, rose, and saffron. They utilize that in a lot of fragrances. So it's a nice change of the old school Montale DNA. So to heavy hitters in the Montale game, they may not like this, but also they may like the change from other Montales. While I just mentioned Narguilé, this one I felt Stole a little bit from Back to Black from By Killian. Also utilizes, of course, a lot of honey, almost dripping off, and some powdery aspects from By Killian's too. By Killian utilizes heavy powdery. It's very powdery as a scent. This one, not so much, but it will have some aspects to it. But the honey in both fragrances is very much on par. But your main player still in Honey Oud is cinnamon to my nose. It is strong here. It could be the most dominant note up top to being the major factor throughout the whole fragrance. I felt it took a grasp of the scent more than any other note, including the honey. The cinnamon is aplenty in this one. Now, joining that cinnamon up top is the honey, the vanilla, and the ambery tones too. This will give Honey Oud a gourmand take. However, it never really went full gourmand for me. It does have that imagery, of course, that it steals from Montale, almost a dessert apple pie-ish. But then once this fragrance is more on your skin, it starts going more oriental. And it was a mix between the oriental genre and the gourmand genre. Now, the ambery tones in Honey Oud gives its familiar balsamic quality. It will give you that powdery aspect that I mentioned earlier. The vanilla throws its usual sweetness. It's not too dominant in Honey Oud, especially up top. It's going to amplify a little bit more into the dry down, but the cinnamon continues to dominate. The honey starts showing more of its thickening power here, more into the heart of the fragrance. It's going to show more of its syrupy quality. That is also aided by the amber. The color of this fragrance, when I'm thinking about this fragrance while I'm wearing it, it reminds me of honeycombs. Like the color of the bottle, very much rich, dense, comes to mind within application of 5 to 10 minutes on my skin. It really is a rich and dense fragrance. Now let's touch upon the oud a little bit in the opening here. It's not too dominant in my testing. Even actually deeper into the dry down, the oud itself, that typical Montale oud really doesn't show much of its face. I felt that it was there, but it really wasn't there, if you know what I mean. It really was just a backbone to the fragrance. Now, more into the heart, to the deeper dry down of Honey Oud. The main theme doesn't move much from the opening. You're gonna honey, cinnamon, you're gonna get a little bit of that oud, you're gonna get some slight floral quality added here, but it remains thick and syrupy. You do get some added light woods here, of course, from that oud, and a little bit of patchouli with the ambered vanilla amping up just a bit more into this dry down. Speaking about the oud, more into this dry down, it is that typical Montale oud, but again, like I said, it doesn't have much of an effect to this in this fragrance. It is very much blended to a T. Now, looking at the note breakdown of Honey Oud, there is two key notes in this note breakdown of Honey Oud that I feel that Montale utilizes quite a bit in their fragrances. Of course, the leather and the oud. These two notes, usually in a lot of Montales, if they're in the note breakdown, they are going to dominate the scent. In this fragrance, both of them fairly restrained. I feel like the spotlight is more on the honey and the other sweet notes, and of course that's spicy. So it's more of a sweet, spicy scent more than a oudy, woody-like scent, and of course a smoky, leathery scent. Some users do think that the leather tones felt more like tobacco tones, more into the dry down of that one. So keep that in mind. I felt that idea was rather minimal, but it's worth mentioning in this fragrance review. It's more of a sweet, spicy concoction with an oriental gourmand twist. The amber and the vanilla keep the idea of honeyed sweetness throughout the scent, going way more into the deeper dry down. So not that the honey per se continues to flow through the fragrance, but that vanilla amber kind of helps it, that the familiar tone of sweetness continues on in the scent. Overall, well-transitioned scent that is actually blended masterfully by the house of Montale. Now, the X factor in Honey Oud, it's not honey or oud. It is the cinnamon. I felt without cinnamon, this fragrance wouldn't be much. And I felt like it was that X factor in Honey Oud. Cinnamon aplenty in this one. So who is this fragrance for? Is it for the Montale collectors out there? New heads in the fragrance game, old heads in the fragrance game, Montale heavy collectors, or people that are just getting into Montale? I feel like this one strays away from the old Montale DNA. I enjoyed that. It really kind of reminds me of Chocolate Greedy, where it just went right away from what Montale is known for. If this is your first dip into Montale, it's going to show you some nuances from the brand. Performance-wise, it's going to show you that. And the blend, it's going to show you that. But as far as notes, particular notes that Montale is known for, you're not getting much of that here. So it is great for someone that does love Montale as a line, or others that are kind of getting bored of Montale fragrances. I think this one is new enough to the brand, or different enough to the brand, that it is worth sniffing. So let's get into some ratings as far as the scent goes. So uniqueness. I'm going to give this one 7 bottles out of 10. I feel like it's unique enough. Obviously from the brand of Montale, it is very unique. But it does steal a page, of course, in the opening with Wajan and, of course, Homme Narguilé. So it brings down the uniqueness of this fragrance. As far as scent-wise, I'm going to have to give this one 9 bottles out of 10. I really enjoyed this fragrance. It's simple enough that I really enjoyed the 2 major factors, the cinnamon and the honey. But it also has some complexity to it, and I really enjoyed wearing this fragrance when I did. So 9 bottles out of 10. So now let's get into chapter 2, performance and feedback. So first and foremost, let's take a look at my sprays. I usually spray 1 on the chest, 2 on the neck. So 2, 1 here and 1 here. And then I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, but I'm going to go inner elbows with this one. That is usually my spray routine with this fragrance. So you're looking at around 4 to 5 sprays, give or take, with Honey Oud, and that is enough. Some people may say, you're killing it, Mark, that's way too much. Depending, of course, on the weather and where you're going, that's good enough. 5 sprays for me. Longevity. This is where this thing shines, and a lot of Montales do shine in this, in longevity and projection. A longevity, I'm going to give it 9 bottles out of 10. It gave me consistently 8 to 10 hours. Any given wearing. I was really impressed with the longevity with this one. When you're paying for Montales, usually that's one thing you're going to get is performance. Projection, same thing here, 8 bottles out of 10. It's not a beast per se, but it's very, very heavy on my skin. So people are going to smell me once I get into a room. It reminds me of Homme Narguilé as performance-wise. When I go in a room, people are like, oh, someone smells good, apple pie-ish. Compliment factor, that's another thing with this one. I felt like it had that Homme Narguilé feel. 8 bottles out of 10, very high as far as compliment factor goes. This one in the fall and winter, absolutely gorgeous. I love these type of scents with the heavy cinnamon and the gourmand facets. They just work on my skin and they do so, so well. So compliment factor, super high on this one. So let's get into the chapter 4, versatility. So first and foremost, age range. I'm looking at probably 20 plus. Unisex, yes, very much unisex. I could see this on a woman, it'll work very well, or a man. There is nothing highly feminine here for the men out there that are watching this fragrance review. Age range, yeah, 20 plus. I don't think teens, you don't have to go with this. But Honey Oud, very much almost anybody. Seasons. This has, it screams fall for me, day or night. It doesn't matter in the fall. It's all about how you feel and what you're going to want to wear. This is a day or night scent in the fall. Winter too, you can wear this in the winter, and also spring nights. I wore this in rainy or overcast days, especially in the fall, more into the spring, 2 spring nights. This will work. So is it a night or day-like scent? I feel like this is more of a playful scent. I feel like this is more of a nighttime scent. Again, you can wear this during the day, but I feel like more of a nighttime scent. Occasions. Well, this one, versatility, it takes a little bit of a dip for occasion because I feel like this type of scent, as much as I would want it to be a signature scent, I don't think I would get sick of it too much. I don't think it's made for formal occasions. I feel like this is more of a casual type scent. Work appropriate, not really. So really this one is if you're going for errands or you're going out on a date or you're going to hang out with friends, I feel like this is more this type of scent. So for versatility, even though I kind of poo-pooed that it's not really a signature scent, it's still fairly versatile, especially in the fall. I felt like this one in the fall, I didn't really have to think about it. I wore it during the day, the night. I did restrict myself a little bit, but I'm going to give this one 7 bottles out of 10. I think the versatility is there in the mid tier. It's not high versatility, but it's not down low. I'm going to give it a 7. So now let's get into the next chapter, which is value. So bottle sizes that are available for Montales are the little minis, the 1.7 ounce, and then these guys right here, the 3.4 ounce bottles. You're going to be looking at pricing 110 to 170. That's USD retail. Again, you can find Honey Oud at discounters. And the one thing with Honey Oud that I found out was it goes through spurts at discounters that they'll get like a bunch in and they're going to sell out real quick. It's one of those Montales that people want to get. And especially at discounters, you're going to knock off maybe 30, 40, 50 USD off the retail price. So it is a good deal for Honey Oud, so keep your eyes peeled. As far as availability, this one's not discontinued. It is available. So as far as a rating goes in value, pricing versus the quality I'm getting in my little hand here for a Montale fragrance against all other Montales, and of course all other niche fragrances in the game that would do this kind of thing, I'm going to give this an 8 bottles out of 10. Montales are fairly cheap for niche end, and it is one of the better Montales overall as a brand. If you asked me, you know, what are the top 10 Montales to check out, this would be on the list, definitely. So now let's get into the ending of this fragrance review. Some positives to take away and some negatives to take away for this fragrance. So some of the positives to take away: great use of cinnamon and honey. The performance is huge. A lot of fragrance heads do want performance with their fragrances. Montale, you're not going to lack in that. Negatives to take away with this fragrance. This is a crowded genre. I've already named off a couple fragrances that are not alike, but they do the same thing. It's not your typical Montale. So a true blue Montale head may not like this fragrance. And of course, maybe you don't like Montale fragrances. It does take a little bit out of the whole Montale DNA, and you're just not going to like it. So there is some negatives to take away. Of course, that honey and that cinnamon and certain notes that people don't like, you're probably not going to like this one. It's very heavy on the cinnamon and honey, so definitely watch out for that. So my final thoughts, or my overall thoughts on Honey Oud, was the balance in this fragrance was impeccable. The delivery, perfect. The honey's well done. The cinnamon did its thing here. The oud was blended in the scent perfectly. I think it really, if you don't like the Montale oud, it may not bother you that much in this fragrance right here. It's almost a non-factor, to be quite honest. It's a simplistic scent. It smells good, and it lasts a good amount of time on your skin. So simply, a solid release from the House of Montale. I'm on board with Honey Oud. As far as an overall score with this one, man, I haven't reviewed too many Montales on my channel, but this one, I gotta say, 9 bottles out of 10. I'm very impressed with this one, and I would actually recommend this as a purchase. This is a purchase-worthy Montale. So here we are, my review on Honey Oud from the House of Montale. Have you smelt this fragrance? If you have, please let us know, good, bad, and the ugly, in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on this particular fragrance. If you do like my content, please hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. If you'd like to stick around, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified of all my stuff, you know what to do. Hit that bell. Are you part of my notification gang yet? Hey, did you know I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook? You can search me with my YouTube name, Robes08, and you'll find this mug. I also have a Facebook fragrance group that has over 15,500 members currently. Join us today to discuss fragrances. So I'm going to leave you with a few takes from my social media. I asked everybody on my social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and I said, hey, what do you guys think about this fragrance? I'm going to put a few of their thoughts in the back end of this fragrance review, so you see a little bit of different takes on a particular fragrance, not just mine. And as always, a greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your honey cinnamon-based fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good